Gene Autry had a plane and went flying. Did he ever take you flying? Did he ever take you up and let you fly his plane or any of that?
No, but I will tell you, Gene told me a great story, which I have to relate. You know, Gene and his partner, Pat Buttram, they did all of the cowboy movies together.
There's an old Western actor that I ran into the other day. He was sitting on a bench in the park and he was crying, and he's an old timer. And I said, "What's the matter, old fellow?" He says, "I'm married to a beautiful 24-year-old girl," and said she just loves me to death, kisses me all the time and hugs me and makes love to me. Said she just is so wonderful. She can't wait. When I come in the house, she just tears my clothes off and makes love to me and all. And I said, "Well, what are you crying about?" And he said, "I can't remember where I live."
Pat was lifetime buddies with Gene.
And always played the dummy kind of. It always played like the slow, dim-witted guy, but obviously he clearly wasn't. Yeah.
Yep. So they had both worked at WLS in Chicago. They were on the Barn Dance. That's the roots of Gene and Pat Buttram. When ABC bought WLS, they made a guarantee to all the musicians that they could stay on the staff for the rest of their life. And many of them did, by the way. When I worked there, we still had musicians left over from the old Barn Dance. But anyway, Gene was telling me a story about how they earned extra money aside from the Barn Dance by going out. They would be on, they'd go to dances. They'd go to places where they could earn extra money, picking and singing. And so anyway, because Gene had the airplane, he had an old air coupe, a very rudimentary little airplane. And he and Pat would take the air coupe and they would take their guitars and they'd go way out in the hinterlands of Illinois where they could get barn dances. They could make extra money. They could make a lot of money because he had the airplane. So he and Pat had played till 2 o'clock in the morning somewhere in western Illinois. And they got in the airplane and they were heading back to Chicago. And all of a sudden the weather turned bad. And before you know it, it started to snow. Now, this is not an airplane that's supposed to go in snow. And then before you know it, they got into ice. And the windscreen in front of them started to be covered with a sheet of ice. And Gene said to Pat, "Pat, this might be our last trip." He says, "I don't know." He says, "This is not looking good." He said, we know Chicago's out there, but all they could see was this blur of lights in front of them. They couldn't see where they were going. So Pat reaches down underneath the seat. Now this is a little airplane that's got a sliding canopy where it slides back. There's that full force of 100-mile-an-hour wind above them.
Wait, so hang on, is that like taking the roof off a convertible when you say slides back?
Yes.
So you can stick your hand out and now the wind's on you. Okay, got it.
Yep.
Okay, sorry. But
Pat reaches underneath his seat and he pulls out a bottle of vodka, uncaps it, takes it up above the screen, pours it on the windshield, and all the ice goes boom. They de-iced the airplane with the alcohol. And there was Chicago, and they landed safe and sound. How's that for a Gene Autry story?
Wow. That's awesome.
That's a true story. Told to me directly by Gene.